Mini skirt on, dip my body in glitter. Platform sneakers, all the boys want a picture. Two foreign cars, I make rich look richer. Save your breath, baby, I'm not going home with ya. Mini skirt on, dip my body
Hello. You are now tuned in to the A Little Bit Alive podcast. I'm your host, Kristen, and welcome back to another episode. So excited to be chatting with you guys this week because I have gone through the gags. I have gone through trials and tribulations, but also the highest of the highs, and some would say some, mediocre lows, and I felt like we needed to really check in so I could let you guys know what has been going on this past weekend. If you read from the title, I went to go see Chris Brown at the Breezy Bowl tour. And oh my God, I knew that this was going to be a great experience, but it didn't really set in until I was in the thick of it to be like, holy cow, this really is a big celebration for him and 20 years in the game. And it kind of just made me a little bit emotional because I'm like, whoa, this man has really gone through some crazy trials and tribulations in his career, seeing the videos that he was playing on the screen and his old photo shoots. I remember his first Vibe magazine cover, you know what I mean? For those who don't know, I remember the very first time Run It, the music video, premiered on 106 in Park, and that was my first time seeing Chris Brown. I'll never forget, I was watching TV with my dad, and I'm like, bites Pinky, who is this fine young man on my TV screen talking about, let me see if you can run it, guaranteed I can run it. And I immediately fell in love, of course. 2005, I think I was in fifth grade, I think. So, youngin' in fifth grade, crazy all about boys. Of course, I was going to yum, eat him up, no Gracie's Corner when it came to Chris Brown, And so it was kind of up and it's stuck ever since then. And of course, it's he's the Chris Brown, you know what I mean? Comparable to Michael Jackson, regardless of what he's been through in his personal life. When it comes to all of his situations that have happened before, we are here to talk about his, music career, not personal life, but even just as far as his music career, he has just continued to keep reaching milestones even 20 years into his career. That is unbelievable to me. You would think that normally when people, debut and they're 16, they're young and turnt, that he would have already had a stadium tour at that point and hit a peak and then kind of went downhill from there. But he has only continued to rise. And the fact that it's 20 years in the game and he's just now doing his first sold out stadium tour is kind of crazy to me. Thinking about the fact that I've never seen Chris Brown in a stadium until now was wowzer. So I just wanted to talk about everything that I went through getting to this concert and during the concert and after the concert, because the show itself was great. Shout out to Chris Brown, did his thing, but some other things happened that I'm right, I may as well just do a story time and just update y'all on what happened, because I didn't really have anything else to talk about and schedule for this week because it's been hectic, you know what I mean? So I'm F it, I'm gonna just tell y'all how the experience went. Let's just jump into that. Before we do, if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you so much. Go ahead and give this video a like if you could, please. That would really help me out. Comment down below to let me know, have you been to the Breezy Bowl? Do you plan on going to see him at another stop? If you did, what did you think about the show? You know what I'm saying? W's in the chat, let me know. And subscribe. I am almost to my first 800 subscribers and I cannot believe it. I'm so close to my first 1K. It's really crazy to me. So thank you so much to everybody that already has, and if you haven't and you're watching, I see you. Go ahead and hit that button. You won't regret it. We talk about pop culture, mental health, movies, TVs, nostalgia, everything, you name it, and we have a great time, so you won't regret it hitting that subscribe button and joining the community, and turn those post notifications on. And if you're listening on Spotify and Apple, thank you. Rate that 5 stars for me if you could, please, and leave a review to let me know what you think about the show. So when it comes to this Chris Brown show, I feel I was kind of doomed from the start, if I'm gonna be honest, when it came to my time of arrival, right? Estimated time of arrival, because I kind of went threw some gags when it came to work. Honestly, that's kind of on me. I really feel like I should have just taken the day off, right? This is the second time that this has happened where I've gone to an event and decided I'll just leave work early and everything will be fine. And then it like wasn't fine, right? So from now on, my boyfriend was like, if we have an event to go to, like, you need to just take the day off, period. Okay? None of this working and then leaving early and then going, because it just has not been working out for me. It did before. And then as of this event and the event I went to before this, it worked out poorly for me. All right. So I get it. Like, that's on me. I should have put the PTO request in and had that full 8 hours to myself. But instead I was like, okay, I'm just going to work. Right. And then I'm going to leave early and then we'll go to Detroit. Because I live about like a little over an hour away from Detroit, and I went to go see him at the Ford Field at the Detroit stop. So, it didn't really work out for me because with my job, there's only like a small team of us. So it gets kind of tricky whenever like one of us needs to take time off and the other one is taking time off. So basically I had put on the calendar that I needed to leave early like weeks ago, right? Because I've been bought my Breezy Bowl tickets like, months ago. But for some reason, once the time came closer, my manager hit me up and she was like, I don't think I can approve you leaving this early because 2 of the other coworkers are off that day and we're going to be short staffed. So I need you to be here. And I'm like, well, at the time when I put that I needed to leave early, one of the girls that you're saying is off, it didn't say she was off. So mine was there first, And she was like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, if yours was there first, I apologize, but I already approved her time off. So like, I don't know if I can let you leave early. And I wanted to originally leave at like noon, but she was like, maybe if you can leave at 3, would like that be okay? And I'm like, no, but like, I have no choice but to try to make it work. So let's just try to make it work. And that's really what kind of like doomed me from the beginning, not being able to leave when I should have just taken the entire day off. So that really sucked mega hard because the day came, I worked, and then like closer time to 3:00, I started gathering my things. And then I'm like, okay, we're going to leave at 3. We're going to get to Detroit and then we're going to check into our hotel, go to the concert, and then everything's going to be right? No, I ended up leaving around like 3:30, right? So me and my boyfriend, we get ready to leave. Mind you, my boyfriend did not know until the day before that we were staying in Detroit, because normally, since we live, like I said, relatively close to Detroit, whenever we go to concerts at like the Little Caesars Arena, the Ford Field, like the Fox Theater, stuff in that entertainment area, we always just like drive there and then just come back home the same day. I've never stayed in the city, you know what I mean? So I was like, F it, we ball, let's just make a weekend out of it. It's Breezy Bowl, like let's turn up, like gang, we in the section tonight, gang, work the cat's eye, you know what I mean? So I was like, let's do it. So I surprised him and I said, surprise, we have a book, I can't even speak, a hotel room booked, and we're actually going to be staying in the city Friday night, because we went to Friday's show. Breezy stayed for 2 dates in Detroit. We went to the Friday show. So we're going to stay Friday. We're going to stay Saturday, come back Sunday. Because, your girl's got to work. And he was like, okay, it's Liddy. So I was like, okay, like we have quite a bit of to do in this short amount of time, but like, it's going to be fine, right? End up leaving a little bit behind schedule. Finally, we drive, we get to the telly, we check in, and I'm like, okay, like we gotta go, because at the time that we got to the telly would normally be the time that I would get to the venue, because I've been to the Ford Field many a time. Okay, so I'm very experienced with this stadium, and I usually get there like really early, but like I said, because of my job, I wasn't able to. So that was really annoying. So as we're at the hotel, my boyfriend's like, hey, could you help me with my shoes? Because he has like really wide feet and it's a whole thing. So we're like trying to figure out his shoes. Mind you, he bought brand new shoes. I don't know why the frick he did that. Like, note to self, everybody out there in the chat, like, if you're getting brand new shoes for a concert, I don't really know if that's the best idea, But I tried to sway him away from that shoe type, because I felt like it really wasn't going to work for his feet, but he insisted, right? Nevertheless, he persisted. So I help him with his shoes. First he says, oh, you tied it too tight. I'm like, what the freak? Loosen him up. Mind you, this is going to be a part of the story later. The shoe gate. Hashtag shoe gate. Okay, right? But yeah, so we get that sorted out. We leave. We get to the stadium. And I'm like, everything's going to be easy breezy, beautiful, cover girl, right? Because I've been to the stadium, the Ford Field Stadium, several times for Renaissance, to see One Direction a couple times. Like, I got this. Mind you, like days before, my boyfriend was also panicking about parking. He's like, all my coworkers that are going to the show are saying that they bought parking ahead of time. But for those who don't know, if you go to an event at the Ford Field in Detroit, they have a Ford Field like parking deck, and the parking garage is like literally right next to the Ford Field. So it's their parking garage, but it doesn't open until like a few hours before the show starts. And it's the only parking garage that you can't buy like a spot for ahead of time. You can only get it like when you get there. You can't buy it online. It's not going to show up on like ParkWiz or whatever like website for parking. It's not going to show up. You just have to get there early and pull in, and you get your spot. So I'm like, listen, I'm not paying $100, $150 for parking anywhere else. Like, we're going to park in the Ford Field garage like I always do. You cannot buy that ahead of time. We're going to pull in. It's going to be fine. Like, everything's going to be fine. I've been there several times. But this time it did not work out like that. For some reason, once we got into the city and we were getting closer to the Ford Field and we were trying to get to the parking garage, it was literally hell on earth trying to even get there. This event had the like worst organization in history. And like I said, I've been there multiple times, and I had never seen it like this, like chaotic when it came to traffic. Like, normally when I go to like any concert, but especially at this stadium, they're going to have people in the streets wearing vests, right, with their little like glow in the dark sticks, and they're going to be directing traffic. Everything's going to be smooth. Everything's going to be organized. But there was not a single person out there trying to help anyone navigate anywhere or anything. So everybody was just trying to figure it out. And then there were a lot of police out there, but the police weren't doing anything. They were just standing around and looking. So we tried to go to the normal like street where you can enter to get to the Ford Field garage, but for some reason they had it blocked off. This is the very first time that this garage has ever been blocked off. I'm like, what the freak? Like, this is the only place I know about parking here. So where else am I supposed to go? Like, if you can't go to Bella Noche, where the hell can you go? Like, what? So I'm like, dang, what are we going to do? Like, we cannot get onto the street. We pull back around, and then I see a police officer. He's parked in the middle of the traffic, and he's like on his phone. I pull my window down, and I'm like talking to him. And I'm like, hey, is there any way that we can get to the Ford Field parking garage? Like, it's blocked off. Like, what's going on? And he was like, yeah, they got it blocked off. You know, the only way I could think of to get to it is on Woodward. Mind you, I don't live in Detroit. Like, what the freak? Like, where is Woodward? Like, I don't know. So we're like, okay, thanks for nothing. Love you down. And then we proceed to keep driving around in circles like idiots, trying to figure out where the frick do we go. Everyone is also equally confused and trying to get to the Ford Field garage, and it's literally chaotic. There's also other people walking around because people have also like parked in other parking garages or parking, you know, structures that are a little bit away. So they had to like walk a long way from their spot to get to the stadium. And it was just a lot. And in the end, we ended up like driving around to the other side of the stadium, and we found a parking garage that was like right next to the Ford Field on the other side. I never parked in this garage before, and I didn't know that it was even a thing, but I'm like, gang, like, whatever, let's pull in, let's do it. And it was only $50 because, like I said, I'm not paying $100, I'm not paying $150. Like, we're gonna run it up. So we pay the $50, bet. We park, we get out the car, and we're like, perfect, hey, like, the garage is right next to the stadium. So I'm thinking we can be able to just walk in and that's it. No. Like, what? The gag is the garage that we parked in was right next to gate A, But per our email that we received from the Ford Field, we had floor seats. So people with floor seats could only have entry in gate C. So we're like, oh, right, like we have to walk around the stadium from gate A to get to gate C. And if anybody has walked around just a stadium, period, it's a stadium. So it's freaking huge. So if you have to walk from one gate to another, it's going to take a second to get there. And it was hot outside, mind you. I had my paper towel ready for blotting because I'm a sweaty girl. It is what it is. I had my fan ready and charged, but that can only save you so much. Also, it's chaotic outside. People are confused and don't know where to go. There's only but so many workers that are outside helping people figure out which entry should they go to. It's a mess. My boyfriend, he keeps trying to be like, no, we can go in through gate A. And I'm like, no, we can't. The email says gate C. And then after we take the long, treacherous walk from our gate to the gate that we're supposed to be at, we're tired, obviously. Like, it's kind of rough out here. Then on top of that, once you get to the gate, from the gate to get to the entry, there's like an uphill, like slope type of situation. So now you're kind of like walking up a hill, and that's even more difficult, right? So at that point, my boyfriend is kind of like low-key unwell. We're gonna be full transparency here, okay? Because at the end of the day, like, we talk about mental health on this show, and both of us were feeling a bit frazzled. Anxiety was kind of on 10 because there's a lot going on. It's understandably a overstimulating situation. Just even figuring out how to park was literally hell on earth, let alone all the walking that we had to do to get from one gate to the whole other gate on the other side of the stadium. Like, at that point, you're literally hashtag exhausted and sweaty, and you're like, maybe I should just go home at this point. Maybe I should just go home, and I haven't even made it to my seat yet because I'm literally tired. Back hurting a little bit. It is what it is. We're only human, okay? So at that point, my boyfriend's like sweating the house down boots, right? Back on 10. His feet are hurting because I apparently tied his shoes a little bit too tight at the end of the day. So he's like, circulation station is literally cutting off at my ankles. I don't know if I can even feel my feet. Love you down. That's my bad. I didn't mean to do that. So we finally go in. Even just like figuring out like who to show our ticket to was like unorganized, right? Once again, this is not on Chris Brown. This is on the Ford Field. This is on the staff there. And on top of that, the Detroit police outside. What were we all on? You didn't help us at all, right? So we showed the girlie our ticket. And then my boyfriend's like, I need to sit down. Okay. Like, what the freak? Like, we just walk a mile in my Louboutins, like working to Iggy Azalea, like fought for our lives. I need to take a break. Right. My therapist has always told me, like, when you're in these situations and it's overstimulating at the concerts, like, take your rest. A lot of times it's easy to feel like you got to just be like, oh, like zoom, 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 you know what I mean? But you're good to take a break. You can step to the side, tuck away in a little corner, gather yourself, and then go, and then get to where you need to get to. So we're like, okay, yes, let's take a second, breathe. But at this point, my boyfriend is like so overstimulated that it's like kind of hard for him to relax a little bit. So he's like, holy cow, right? Like, I'm kind of like really, really turned up right now. And I'm like, hey, you're not even trying to relax. Like, try to relax. And he's like, I can't. Because at this point, physically, he's going through the gags. Mentally, overstimulation station, he's going through the gags. I am too, but like at this point, like, I've been therapized. I'm the one out of both of us that have been in therapy. So I'm like, I know how to kind of, ground myself in the moment. I'm like, hey, it is what it is. You know what I mean? But he's like unwell. But after a couple minutes, he's like, okay, I think I'm okay. I turn to my left. I see Uncle Joe's chicken fingers. Mind you, when I went to go to the Renaissance tour with my sister, we looked up the restaurant ahead of time and we said, oh, we want to try Uncle Joe's chicken fingers. But then by the time we got in there, my sister was like, no, we should just go straight to our seats because she was overstimulated. And I'm like, hey, I'm not gonna argue with her. She's on the spectrum. If she says she want to go sit down, we just gonna sit down. We'll take the L. We want to try the chicken fingers. But I'm with my boyfriend, and I'm like, no, this is the second time that I've come here and I ain't tried these chicken fingers. I'm leaving here with something. I'm from around the way. You know what I mean? So we get in line for the chicken fingers, and my boyfriend is like still unwell in line. Like, I know him. I can tell he's like not good at all. And I'm like, are you Gucci? Like, what? Like, here's my fan. Like, here, try to calm down, like, try to cool down. He's not cooling down. Like, he's still on edge. And I'm like, is this going to become like a medical emergency? Like, is he having an anxiety attack right now? Like, what the freak is the tea? And he was like, I'm good. You good? And I'm like, are you asking yourself that? Because you don't seem good. I'm clearly good. You're not good. Right. And so then I'm like, he's like talking about his shoes. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, is it hurting? He's like, I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? Like, every single time my boyfriend is going through some type of panic, like, whenever I ask him, like, what's wrong? What's hurting you? Like, what are you feeling? And he says, I don't know. That drives me insane, because it's like, you are in your body. You know what you're feeling. So whether you're saying my ankle hurts, my back hurts, I'm feeling anxious, let me know something instead of just saying, I don't know. Like, what? Like, what do you mean you don't know? Like, how can you not conjure the words to let me know what's going on? So once he hit me with the I don't know, I said, oh, he's gone. You know what I mean? Like, he's shot. Like, there's really nothing I can do at that point. I'm not going to continue to keep like questioning him and pressing him and trying to check in. I just got to let him try to just decompress like on his own. So I'm like, you do what you do, sweetie. Love you down. But at this point, don't save Hush. You don't want to be saved. Like, I can't do anything for you. So I'm like, now I just got to worry about me, really. So get my chicken fingers, get the 3-piece chicken tender basket. It really looked good too. So I'm like, oh, I'm about to smash. Because at this point, I haven't ate yet. I'm hungry, the house down boots. So as I'm checking out, paying for my food, I hear him say, oh, I'm going to go over here. Mind you, when we first walked in, we did not see a men's restroom in sight for him. It was only I seen like 5 women's bathrooms, but not a singular men's. So I'm like, ooh, we might have to walk a bit to try to find a men's bathroom. But he said, oh, I'm going to go over here. So I'm like, okay, great. I finished paying for my chicken tenders. I turn around. I got chicken tenders in hand, my drink in my hand, my phone in my hand. And then I have like a little like wrist pouch, like around my wrist. I turn around. Where is my boyfriend? I don't know where my boyfriend is, guys. So I'm looking around. I'm like, I'm thinking he was going to like be up against the wall, trying to just relax. Like, where is he? I call his phone. He says, oh, I'm in the family restroom across from the chicken tender thing. I'm like, oh, I didn't even notice that family restroom. Great. So while he's there, I go over and talk to guest services, and I'm like, where do we go to like even figure out where our seats are? The lady told me what we needed to do, and I'm like, great. So then after my boyfriend is done in the bathroom, he comes out. He looks like a brand new person. Sweat gone. He's smiling. He's like, okay, I'm feeling a lot better. I was able to relax. My shoes were too tight. I loosened up my shoes, and now I feel like less overstimulated. And I'm like, my bad, right? But glad you're Gucci. We go sit down. I eat my chicken tender basket. I'm trying to give him some of my chicken tenders. I'm like, hey, you want to eat some of this? He's like, dang, I can't even, my taste bud's not even working. When you are reaching a point where you're so overstimulated that you feel like you can't even taste food, yeah, you're done. Like, you're done. So I'm like, okay, because any other situation and any other time, he would have took a bite of that tender and been like, this is pretty good. And I know him since we've been together for like, I don't know, 12 years at this point. He would have rated the chicken tender like a 7.5 out of 10 because he loves a rating. But because he was just like so spaced out, he's like, I don't even know. They're mid. I can't even really taste. And I'm like, okay, love that for you. So I finished eating my chicken tender basket. Summer Walker is out at this point because his 2 opening acts are Summer Walker and Bryson Tiller. So I'm like, great, Miss Summer Walker, because we didn't get here even at the time that we were supposed to even get here, and let alone the trials and tribulations we went through just to even park, let alone to even get inside of this stadium. I'm not about to rush eating my food to go see Summer because I wasn't necessarily looking forward to seeing her anyway. Love you, Summer, like the house down, but I feel like she's kind of personally, in my opinion, more of like a studio artist. Like, love her vocals in the studio, but when it comes to her performance, you know, there's a lot to be desired. Like, we know that she's working on it, though. She's working on it. So I'm like, okay, whatever. We'll just miss Summer Walker. It is what it is. Then we're like, okay, I'm done eating. Let's figure out where we're supposed to go. We had to walk another 7,000 miles in the Louboutins, okay? Because for some reason, Gate C to get down to the floor was also really, really far. She said we had to walk around the stadium again, go down the escalator. From the escalator, then you have to walk another big pretty penny to get from the escalator to section 107. And then once you get to 107, that's a section that allows you floor access. Because for those who don't know, not every section allows you to get to the floor, right? And then once you get to the section, then you have to walk down a million stairs to get down to the floor. We get down to the floor, we go to our section, and we're like, hey, it's lit. We get to our seats, and I didn't realize that our seats were like so close to the little like runway stage, because for those who don't know, like Chris Brown has a main stage, but then from the main stage he has a runway, and then the runway goes off into these other little stages to the right and to the left at the end of that runway. And it is in the shape of an X, you know, XX for like 20 years of Breezy. So the left little stage, the X stage, we were right in front of that stage. And I'm like, oh, like, I know I bought the tickets, but that was months ago and I forgot where we were even at, and I didn't realize that we were going to be like right in front of this little stage. So I'm like, perfect, it's lit. And then we go to sit down, and then we're in seats like 5 and 6. So the girls that are in seats 1 through 4, they have to get up, let us through, and it's not looking too good, okay? Because for those who don't know, the seats on the floor were like folding chairs, right? But they were like really small folding chairs. And on top of that, to make it more difficult, they zip tied all of the chairs together. So you would think that if you needed a little bit more room, you could like scoot your chair over like I've done before when I've had floor seats. No, they're tying the chairs together now, sweetie. So there's really no extra room. And it's like, listen, me and my boyfriend are both plus size, but even the skinny people, like even the smaller people, were kind of packed onto each other like sardines, let alone if you're over two something to do something. Okay. So it just was not really a comfortable experience whatsoever. I think really for anybody down there. Like, what the actual freak? I really think that the entertainment industry really needs to reconsider this, because I don't even think that even mid-sized people even looked comfortable being squished elbow to elbow, shoulder to shoulder down on that floor section. So at this point, now that we're all sitting together and everybody's in their seat, you can really feel how tight it is. So the girls that are next to us are like, man, okay, right. Like, now that we're all here, the seats are a little tight. Maybe we should try to figure out if we can move. And I'm like, great. I'm going to want to take offense to that. If y'all want to move, it's not only going to benefit you, but it's also going to benefit me, because then that way we all win. We all have like more space. My boyfriend, on the other hand, he was a little insulted, but I'm like, listen, there's nothing to be insulted about, babes. Let them move, because then if they move, then that means that we have seats 1 through 6 to ourselves, okay? And I want to turn up. So eventually they were talking to guest services. They ended up figuring out something and they moved. Then that's when Bryson Tiller came out. This is my second time seeing Bryson Tiller. He was so good. Like, I feel like he has really grown and a lot when it comes to like his performances and stuff, and his crowd control and just his overall confidence as an artist and a performer. So loved him down. And then at that point, now it's like, okay, we're lit, we're comfortable, like we have room, we can sit down if we want to sit down comfortably, we can stand up and move around if we want to move around, like everything's Gucci. And then from that point, everything went well, right? Like no more chaos, like no more fighting and trial, for our lives and tribulations. Like it was good. We were safe. We were comfortable. Chris Brown comes out. The way that I've seen him perform, I think I've seen him 5 times already. It's either been 4 times I've seen him or 5 times. But either way, I've seen Chris Brown pretty much every time he's gone on tour. And this was the most aura that he's ever had coming out on stage ever. Something about his energy for this 20-year anniversary kind of just lit a fire up underneath him that I've personally never seen before seeing him live. And of course, because he's Chris Brown, every single time I see him, he's literally incredible. Like there's no one else that's going to do it like him when it comes to performing, singing, dancing, being a showman. But this was somehow even on another level. And like I said, for you to be 20 years in the game and for you to continuously continue to keep outdoing your last tour, your last show, and be even better and even greater, it's like, how is that even possible? You see the last show and you're like, how is it going to get any better than this? And then somehow it gets better. And you're like, whoa. So his entrance alone with Run It was just like so iconic, like 1,000 aura, like aura, like what? Are you kidding me right now? Like so good. And the entire show was just incredible. The fact that he had such a long set list was just like absolutely insane. And I feel like even then, all of the songs that he did, he still could have gone even longer. Like if he wanted to do a freaking 6-hour show, he could have, because even all of the songs that he did still felt like it was just the tip of the iceberg for his catalog. You know what I mean? And like even then, there's still some other songs that he could have done that are like real Team Breezy songs, rather than like doing like his like top hits. Like I personally feel like he needs to take With You off the set list. No Air off the set list. We've seen it plenty of times. We need those deep cuts. But that's almost like One Direction performing and not doing What Makes You Beautiful. Like I get it. He's got to cater to the mediocre fans out there. No shade, no tea. If you love his singles and his greatest hits, like that's cool. But me and my boyfriend personally wish he would like perform other songs that like the mass majority of the public don't know and like the real fans know. But it is what it is. But even then, still, like, and it's crazy because it's like he only ended up performing 1 new song. Like that's how much stuff he has like from his catalog to perform. He performed that new song It Depends with Bryson Tiller, featuring Bryson Tiller. He performed that, and even then he didn't even perform the whole song. Like he doesn't even need to do new material because he has that much old material. And I just thought that it was just so incredible the way that he like categorized the show from like the beginning, having an ode to his like beginnings. Then he had the section of the tour where he called it The Fall, which basically he, talked about like all of the trials and tribulations he's been through, with his situation with him, with Rihanna and going to jail and all of those things that he's been through, and, discussing like what a dark time that was, how he felt like he didn't really have anybody and he had to kind of like rise up and from the fall and continue to just be like, okay, I have to prove to everybody that I'm worth, staying here. He was showing different news clips of like different like people being like, oh, Chris Brown's career is over. And, I think it just kind of shows how he like defied those odds and said, no, like, I know I did what I did. I accept responsibility for what I did, but y'all not going to get rid of me. And he kind of performed songs from around that era. And then the third part of the tour was The Legacy, where he like performed, more songs like from his catalog that are like iconic. So I love the way that he like really tried to tell a story with splitting the show into those 3 parts. And I also like the fact that all the visuals that he had, like I said, where he showed the fans, and different things like that, and like really focused on like, I'm here because of you guys, was just so nice. Like his relationship and appreciation for the fans is just really nice. And I also love the fact that he had like this cute little like AI version of himself on the screen. His like younger child talking to himself and being like, hey, like you got to remember the reason why we started this, the reason why you have a passion for what you do. Like don't lose sight of that. And I'm like, oh my God, That is how you use AI. Like, his younger self talking to him was so cute. Also, I just really liked, of course, the dancers. You know, we got Lance, we have Taylor. Like, at this point, if you've been a Breezy fan, like, you know the names of like a lot of his like most popular dancers. Like, they ate the house down. That was just so incredible. And then, of course, the most iconic moment to me was when he was like literally flying around the stadium. Like, my boy buckled up, put that harness on, right? Flew above my head. Like, I'd never experienced anything like that at a concert, to look up and see his feet dangling in the air as he's flying around the entire stadium. I love the fact that he said, I'm going to make this a production, okay? Because this is my first stadium tour, I'm going to try to touch every corner of this stadium that I can. From the way that he structured the stage to reach out as far into the crowd as possible, and then the fact that he used that harness to fly around. I understand Beyonce was flying around, and I love her for that, in that car, 16 carriages style. But the fact that he didn't even have a car, it was just him flying around. And then on top of that, like, on some pink tings, he was like flipping while also in the air. Then there was a good chunk of time where he was upside down while flying and still singing. I'm like, oh my God, like, this guy is crazy. And then, like, as he was flying around, I didn't even realize that he also had another stage behind us. So he flew from the front stage, jumped up in the air, flying around, lands on the stage behind us, and then that turns into like sexy time, right? He's performing Take You Down. He's performing No BS. Like, it's not a game. So that part of the show was just obviously like so good. And that's really just all I can really say about it. You know what I mean? Like, if you have not been, you definitely should go, because this was his best tour yet. And like I said, I've been to several Chris Brown tours at this point that I've lost count. But that was just something. And then once that was that, I had already looked at the set list like ahead of time, because one thing about me, when I go to a show, like, as much as I love a concert and I would love to stay until the end, I also like just can't do that, because then my patience, the way it's set up, I need to try to get out of there, you know? And it's like, you leaving an event, especially at a stadium, it's going to take you a minute to get up out of there. So I'm like, we got to leave early. So I ended up leaving like 6 songs early, but they were all songs that like I've already seen him perform anyway. So I'm like, I'm not really tripping. We left. Going back up the stairs from the floor, woo, right? Like, by the time we got to that last 15 stairs, my thighs were turning into ramen noodles, bro. Like, I'm literally like trying not to have palpitations up in there, because, oh my God, like, are you kidding me? Took a break and I'm like, okay, right, got this. Then we left. So thankfully we were by the entrance where it was by gate A. So we didn't have to like walk around the entire stadium again to like get to the parking garage. So we get to the parking garage, we leave, we get out of the parking garage, and we're now in the street. We ended up getting stuck in the street anyway. Even though we left early, it still didn't really like make any difference too much, because we ended up getting stuck for about an hour, maybe an hour and a half, if I'm being honest, outside of the parking garage, because lots of other people also left early. And then on top of that, they had a baseball game next door as well. I think it's the Comerica Park. So all of the people are leaving the baseball game, plus all the people that also left early. Then by the time that we were still stuck, then the show was actually over at that point, and we're still stuck. So now we have to deal with all the people leaving the show. So there are so many people like crowding us and like walking in the street to get to to leave the concert. So it was like really kind of overstimulating, like even in the car, because like now our car is surrounded by hundreds and hundreds and like thousands of people walking in the streets to like get to their cars. You look to the right, there's people, to the left behind us. Then as my boyfriend is trying to like inch forward to try to get us out of there, people are cutting in front of our car while it's moving. And I'm like, hello? Like, you could literally like walk around anywhere else. You clearly see that we're stuck and we're in the street trying to get out of here. And then people are getting an attitude with us for moving when you're the one that walks in front of a moving car. So that was very annoying, #annoying. And I was like, okay, right. And then as we're also stuck there, we personally witnessed 2 fights and 2 arguments. Okay. Like, that was very intense. And then I look on TikTok and, Facebook the next day, come to find out there were about 20 fights at the stadium. Mind you, I've never like had been to the Ford Field and there was fights before. So I don't really know what it was about this crowd that people were so teed up, but the girlies and the gays and theys and the guys were not playing with each other. Like, if you want to throw knuckles, we can go throw knuckles. Like, it's whatever. People are also off the tequila. They're off the drinks, the Don Julio, Actifulio, and that's what they did. That's what they did. My boyfriend's talking about, pull your camera out, record. I don't want to record these people because, like, I don't want to be a victim. Then they get mad at me for recording. Then what? I still recorded. So now I'm recording a fight. Like, what is going on, guys? And then on top of that, just like before, getting to the stadium was hell. Like I said, leaving the stadium was hell. Not only were people walking in front of our moving car, but then on top of that, even trying to get out of the area was literally a nightmare because no one was outside directing traffic. The police were too busy trying to stop all the fights, doing what they were doing. No one was out there to help us like get out of there. No organization, no nothing. So we were just all on our own. And then once we were done and we finally got the frick out of the area, we were like, we're hungry. Because my boyfriend, mind you, he didn't even eat. He didn't eat the Uncle Joe's chicken tenders. So we're like, okay, I had an itinerary of different places in the area that we could try and pick from. So I looked at my list and I'm like, well, there's a place called Avenue Grill that's about 15 minutes from here and they're open 24 hours. Let's pull up on them. We pull up. Other people also had the same idea, right? It's post, baseball game, post Chris Brown, so other people are also hungry. So the line was literally busting out the bando. We're like, okay, we'll park, we'll go inside. We don't even get to get inside because it's also busting out the bando inside. So at that point, we're like, F it, guess we won't try that. Let's just go to White Castle. We go to White Castle. The line is also busting out the bando. Not as bad, but we're like, okay, we'll just take it because at this point, nothing else is open. Like, we got to eat. We get our food. We eat in the car. We go back to the hotel. At this point, it's 2:30 in the morning. It's 2:30 in the motherfucking morning. And I'm like, right. Yeah, we're just not making it back to the telly. It is what it is. At least the show was incredible. Everything else that surrounded the show was literally crazy, but like, we're here. So we walk in the hotel lobby, we pass by the front check-in, and we get to the elevator. I get to the elevator, and as I'm at the elevator, my boyfriend stopped in his tracks by the, check-in desk. And there's also like a group of like white men all standing by the check-in desk. And I'm like, oh, like, maybe they just got here, they're checking in late, nothing really to see. Like, it's just a bunch of white men, like nothing for me to look at. No shade, no tea. But my boyfriend is like staring at them and he's like, oh my God. So at that point I'm irritated because I'm like, what? I look over, there's also a white lady that's with them. And I look at her and she's looking at me and she's like smiling. So I'm thinking, oh, like maybe he knows this lady. Like, is this his coworker? Like, what? He's like, Dolph Ziggler? So I'm like, oh, maybe I should like actually take in the faces of the men. So I leave my eyes from the lady. I start looking at the faces of the men and I see them. And I'm like, huh? If you don't know, Dolph Ziggler is a former WWE superstar. And if you also don't know, me and my boyfriend love wrestling. We love WWE. I've been to a house show. I've been to SmackDown. Like, we don't play. Okay, so the fact that Dolph Ziggler was standing there at 2:30 in the morning at the lobby of our hotel after we just went through what we went through, we were like, what is today? Like, seriously, what's going on? And he's like, oh my God, nice to meet you. And I guess apparently Dolph Ziggler has a new name now. So my boyfriend said his new name. I can't remember what it is. But then I guess Dolph was like impressed that he knew his new name. And he was like, oh yeah, like you're a real fan. And my boyfriend was saying he wanted to take a picture. And I'm like, once we got in the elevator, and I'm like, oh, we can, stop the elevator. Like, we can get a picture if you want a picture. And he's like, no, I'm not trying to, bother him. Like, it's 2 a.m. Like, he looked like he was trying to stay low key. And I'm like, okay, because if that were me, I would have got my photo. But whatever. So we make it back up to the room, go to sleep. Next morning, we go to breakfast. I tried some cinnamon roll pancakes from this place. I think it's called Hamil Brunch and Grill or something like that. That was cool. Went to Bath and Body Works, got a couple things. We tried dinner at this other place. That was really nice. And then Sunday morning, we left and we went back home. So yeah, honestly, it was a crazy time. But the core of the trip of why we went for the Breezy Bowl itself, the show was incredible. So yeah, honestly, like, if you can go to a show, don't let this sway you from not going to a show. I think this was more so a Detroit issue. But, love the city. Like, it is what it is. So, yes, that is my story time of my crazy weekend in Detroit, going to see Chris Brown. Loved being able to kiki with you guys and tell you about the ups and downs of the weekend. And yeah, so like I said at the beginning of the episode, if you're watching on YouTube, like, comment down below to let me know, what did you think about Chris Brown's show? If you went, are you planning on going? What day are you going? What tour, stop are you going to see him? What city you're going to see him in? And subscribe. And like I said, Spotify and Apple, rate that 5 stars and leave a review. And with that, I'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Cause I make rich look richer. Save your breath, baby, I'm not going home with y'all.